83 finalists fell short, but this popcorn girl's amazing act revealed life-changing inspiration. Emma stood behind the popcorn counter, the warmth of the little theater wrapping around her like a hug. Bright lights flickered as the credits rolled, and laughter echoed in the dim room. Yet, all she could think about was the mural she had created in her small, cluttered room, an explosion of color and heartache, made from discarded movie posters. It felt alive, just like her dreams. Every day, she juggled the buttery smell of popcorn with the weight of her aspirations. Somehow, amidst the crunching and chattering patrons, Emma knew she was meant for more than just serving snacks in a family-owned theater that had seen better days. But securing a scholarship to a top art school through the prestigious talent competition felt like chasing a shooting star in the middle of an endless night. At home, her father's worries hid beneath a stern facade. "Art is a hobby, Emma, not a career." His voice was firm, etched with the lines of worry and financially induced stress. Meanwhile, her mother would smile softly, whispering words of encouragement that tasted sweet as sugar, urging her to chase those dreams. Each side pulled at her heartstrings, creating a duet of obligation and desire that echoed painfully loud. Emma's mural had caught the attention of the local press, but not in the way she hoped. It was met with ridicule, dismissed as junk art by people who couldn't see the beauty woven into each layer. She felt her heart sink each time an insult landed, pricking her like thorns. Every scoff, a reminder that her humble roots were a backdrop for laughter instead of inspiration. As the competition loomed closer, doubt swelled in her chest like unpopped corn kernels, ready to burst. Then came the day of judgment, the moment where she unveiled her mural to a panel of elites at the final gala. Standing before them in a sea of polished suits, Emma's chest tightened. Just days earlier, she had submitted her piece only to find pointed looks and whispers circling around it like hawks hunting for prey. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. Back at the gala, she inhaled sharply, her heart racing like a drumroll in her ears. When she finally unveiled her mural, gasps filled the room. Faces contorted in confusion, some fidgeted, others simply watched. But Emma stood tall. "This isn't just a mural," she began, her voice steadying. "It's a bridge across divides, a story of every overlooked dreamer in our town, the beauty crafted from struggle." As she spoke, the air thickened with uncertainty. Would they hear her? Would they understand? Emma felt raw, exposed, and utterly vulnerable. But she was ready to share her truth, ready to ignite a spark that could change her community forever. The stakes had never been higher as the eyes before her widened, shadows of skepticism slowly receding. Just maybe, this art girl, this popcorn girl, would show them a reality they had long turned blind to. For a moment, silence washed over the room like a wave, pulling back to reveal stunned expressions. Emma's heart raced, thumping loudly as she scanned the crowd. The panelists' eyebrows knitted together, and some exchanged glances, whispering among themselves. It was as if she had pulled the curtain back on a secret they weren't prepared to see. Then, someone broke the silence. A woman in a tailored navy blue suit leaned forward, her gaze intense. "What inspired this?" she asked, her voice both curious and probing. Emma swallowed, tasting the salt of sweat on her lip. Here it was, the chance to unfold her story. "There's beauty in the chaos of our lives," Emma replied, her voice trembling but resolute. "Every piece in this mural is someone real, someone trying to chase a dream while standing on shaky ground." Cheers erupted from the back. A group of her friends, those who had believed in her from the start, had come to support her. Their enthusiasm pulsed through the crowd, filling the void, pulling more people into her orbit of passion. The laughter of strangers turned into murmured nods of agreement. But there were still skeptics, individuals who frowned, arms crossed. Their body language suggested they were resisting the message, unwilling to see what lay beneath the surface. Emma took a deep breath, searching for the right words to dismantle their walls. "I know it's easy to dismiss," she continued, finding strength in her own vulnerability. "I've often felt dismissed myself, like my dreams didn't matter. But they do. Just as much as anyone else's." Suddenly, one of the panelists, a man with thinning hair and thick glasses, stood up. You really believe that?" he asked, his eyes softening, peeling away layers of doubt. "Yes," she answered, feeling the heat build in her chest. "People forget that art can shed light on our struggles. It can unite us and help us heal." The murmurs began again, this time rippling with curiosity instead of skepticism. Faces turned, some softening, some breaking into smiles. Emma felt the power of her voice wrapping around the audience, drawing them in. They weren't just seeing a mural anymore, they were seeing a reflection of their own hopes and fears. Just when she thought the tide was turning, the most critical panelist, an older man whose accolades were too many to count, shifted in his seat. "This may not resonate with everyone," he began, his voice low and careful. Emma's heart sank again, fearing a repeat of the negativity that haunted her. But before he could finish, the room buzzed with energy, as if her words battled for attention against the storm of doubt. Then a surprised voice piped up from the back. "But it resonates with me." A young woman stood, wearing a faded band t-shirt and torn jeans. "I've been stuck in my life, not knowing how to move forward. This mural, your passion, it inspires me to keep going." A ripple of applause began and spread, gathering momentum. Emma felt tears prick her eyes, the emotion bursting forth. Here it was, a moment she had wished for, a moment of connection. As the crowd erupted into applause, she realized this was just the beginning. The life-changing inspiration was not hers alone, it was collective, a shared journey. A quiet man from the panel seemed to nod, finally showing enthusiasm, a signal of potential acceptance. But then came a chill, a worry that her dreams could still slip from her grasp. Would this be enough? Would she have the strength to push forward against the fears that had held her back for so long? With renewed energy swirling around her, she took a step forward, putting everything on the line. "So what happens next?" she asked, feeling every heart in the room pulse in unison with hers as they awaited an answer she was desperate yet hopeful to uncover. The room seemed to hold its breath as Emma waited for someone to answer. She felt the energy shift as anticipation crackled in the air. It was palpable, like electricity humming just beneath the surface. Each face seemed to lean in, eager for the next moment, the next revelation. A voice broke through the charged silence, this time from a seasoned artist seated to her right. "What happens next is up to you," he said, his tone both encouraging and challenging. "This mural is your canvas, a representation of your thoughts and emotions. But you must decide what you want to do with that power." Emma's heart skipped. That was it. It was a call to action. She had to own her narrative. Her gaze swept across the audience, and she took a step closer, the crowd reshaping as they shifted in their seats. "Every time I look at this mural," she said, her voice rising with conviction, "I see the joys and struggles we all face. Every splash of paint tells a story, my story and yours." A murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd, a wave of connection that held the promise of change. "But what happens next?" she echoed, this time with a little more fire. "What if we used this mural as a launchpad? What if we started a movement?" The energy in the air seemed to thrum now, palpable with the whispers of what could be. She could see some audience members nodding fervently, caught up in her vision. With every word, Emma felt the tension in her chest lift. It wasn't just her dream, it was the dream of everyone who felt unseen or unheard. "We could organize workshops, create safe spaces where everyone can express themselves. Imagine a community built around healing through art." A spattering of applause emerged, but it was a hesitant start. Amongst those shadows of skepticism, the older critic furrowed his brow, contemplating her words. Emma pressed on. "We can't be afraid of our voices," she urged, her passion igniting. "Every brushstroke can tell a story that otherwise might never be heard. Each of us has a place within this chaos. How many of us have felt lost or invisible? How many of us have felt like our struggles didn't matter? This mural is not just my voice, it's a chorus of all of us." As she spoke, uncertainty began to shift, faces transforming, concern giving way to interest. She could see shoulders relaxing, some people sitting a bit straighter. The applause grew stronger, not just from her friends but from those who had initially stood with crossed arms. But doubt lingered. Emma's glance shot towards the most critical panelist. Affection surged, she wanted desperately for him to see the truth in her words. "What do you think?" she asked, almost imploringly, reaching out. He studied her, and in that moment, Emma's heart raced. She could taste the potential of acceptance. But what she saw in his eyes was something else. It was contemplation mingled with fear. "Change doesn't happen overnight," he finally said, his voice thick with uncertainty. "What if it fails?" A knot formed in Emma's stomach. Fear whispered to her, reminding her of all her failures and insecurities. But she wouldn't back down now. "We only fail if we stop trying," she countered, determination blazing through her. "We take one step at a time, together." The crowd erupted again, a unified surge of applause that pulsed through the room. Emma felt tears of hope swell, but they were mingled with the fear of what lay ahead. Could they come together? Could she actually make a difference? The questions hung in the air, swirling with possibility. But one thing was clear, a spark had ignited. And she was ready to fan the flames. Emma stepped back, breathing deeply. "Let us move forward together. Let us create something beautiful." As the crowd cheered, she felt a surge of hope. But even with the support swirling around her, anxiety settled in. What awaited them on this unpredictable journey? Emma's heart thumped loud and strong as she met the gaze of the key panelist once more. Would he join her? Would he help lead a revolution that began with one mural? The applause washed over Emma like a warm tide, invigorating yet intimidating at the same time. Her heart did a familiar dance between excitement and uncertainty. She couldn't shake the question that loomed like a shadow. Was she truly ready to lead this movement, to risk the possibility of failure? Taking a breath, she scanned the room. It was no longer just a crowd, it felt like a gathered family, all holding their breaths, waiting for something great to happen. The critical panelist shifted in his seat, uncertainty still etched on his face. She had to reach him. Emma stepped forward again, her voice steady. Art isn't just on the canvas. It's in all of us. It flows through our experiences, our struggles, and our triumphs. Each one of you has a brush in your hand, you just don't know it yet. She could feel the connection deepening. A woman in the back stood up. But what can we do? How do we start? Her voice trembled slightly but carried weight. We start by speaking up, Emma responded quickly, emboldened by the challenge. We host our first workshop right here. She gestured at the empty wall where the mural awaited its first brush stroke. Let us use this space to share our stories and transform our pain into beauty. The crowd murmured softly in intrigue, a mixture of excitement and apprehension. Could they really come together like that? Another voice called out, but what if no one comes? A young man, clearly passionate yet scared, stood near the front. His brow furrowed in worry. Emma recognized that fear. It was the very feeling that had stifled her for years. What if no one comes? She echoed with conviction, hoping to drown out the doubts. What if they do? Either way, we've taken the first step. Every movement begins with a leap of faith. The words hung in the air, bold, authentic. A ripple of applause swelled, this time charged with an undercurrent of determination. Emma's heart raced. She could see their commitment starting to crystallize. The old critic leaned in slightly, his expression softening as he continued to observe. She turned her attention back to the gathered crowd. Let us share our fears, our joys, our stories. Let us paint a mural together that reflects all of us, who we are and who we aspire to be. Suddenly, hands began to rise. People started to volunteer, some wanted to help organize, others wanted to bring supplies. The energy in the room shifted from skepticism to excitement. She had them, at least for now. That doubt in her stomach lessened, replaced by something invigorating. This could be the beginning. But before Emma could fully celebrate, she remembered the weight of reality. What if they hit roadblocks? What if it was harder than she dreamed? Just as she contemplated this, the panelist raised his hand. I think it's a brilliant idea, Emma. But leading a group like this requires preparation. We need to acknowledge our limitations. How can you ensure sustainability if no one shows up? The question hung heavy, reverberating in her mind. As the crowd settled, ready for an answer, Emma realized this would be a long journey filled with doubt, but also filled with potential. Let us face challenges together, she finally said, eyes flashing with a new resolve. We can find solutions as a collective. This is our mural, and with it, our shared legacy. The room erupted once more, filled with applause. But Emma felt a deeper responsibility wash over her. She was presenting not just a project but a lifeline. As the excitement overflowed, she wondered if they were truly ready for the hard work ahead. Could they rise above their insecurities, and could she hold everyone together through the inevitable storms? Feeling the heat of those questions on her skin, Emma took a deep breath. So, who's ready to get started? She called, the challenge vibrating in her voice. The crowd surged forward, eager and inspired. Emma could feel the electric energy in the air. Yet, amidst the cheers, her heart pounded with the knowledge that this was just the beginning. She had ignited a flame, but she wondered, could she keep it burning? What awaited them in the face of adversity? Would they rise together, or would fear extinguish their hopes? Only time would tell. The room buzzed with anticipation as the crowd began to disperse, each person carrying a spark from Emma's words. Laughter and chatter filled the space, mixing with the smell of paint and freshly brewed coffee. Emma watched them, her heart swelling with a mix of pride and anxiety. Emma, that was incredible. A voice pulled her back to the moment. It was Ryan, a longtime friend and fellow artist. His eyes twinkled with enthusiasm. You really have a way with people. I think they're ready for this. Thanks, Ryan. She smiled, but the weight of responsibility still pressed heavily on her chest. I hope I can keep them inspired. He placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. You will. This is just the beginning. For a second, she let herself believe him. But then her gaze drifted to the large, blank wall that loomed over them. That emptiness echoed her fears. What if their enthusiasm faded? What if their stories weren't enough to fill that space? Suddenly, the panelist, Mr. Collins, approached, his expression unreadable. Emma, I'd like to discuss your workshop plans further. Can we talk? She nodded, feeling a knot form in her stomach. Sure, right now. Let us step out. Outside, the sun felt warm against her skin, a stark contrast to the pressure building within her. Mr. Collins leaned against the wall, hands folded. I admire your initiative, but I worry. About what? She asked, her voice firm. About how you plan to sustain this momentum, he replied, his brow furrowed. People are enthusiastic now, but you need to think ahead. What is your strategy? Emma felt her defenses rise. I believe in the power of community. We all need a voice, and we're going to find it together. That's idealistic, he said, eyebrows raised. What about the challenges you'll face? Not everyone will be on board. Biting her lip, she fought against the wave of doubt crashing over her. I know it won't be easy, but... But what? He pressed. There's strength in our stories. People heal together. Art can be that bridge, she said, her voice more confident than she felt. He studied her for a moment, and she couldn't read his expression. Finally, he nodded slowly. I appreciate your passion. Just be prepared. You're not alone in this. There will be roadblocks. Emma took a breath, feeling a connection in the uncertainty they both faced. I'm ready. If we can face it together, then so be it. With a slight smile, he stepped back. I'll support your venture. Just remember, viable support systems take work. You might want to lay out a plan. Absolutely. Emma said, renewed energy flowing through her veins. I'll sketch out some ideas. We can host regular meetings, form committees, start small, he interjected gently. You need to manage expectations alongside your enthusiasm. I can do that, she replied, embracing the feedback like a lifeline. As they walked back inside, Emma felt the weight of possibilities swirling in her chest. This wasn't just about creativity but also about resilience. A mingling of hope and fear, the very essence of life. When she re-entered the main room, she saw familiar faces. Some were engaged in conversation, while others seemed to be sharing their own apprehensions. Encouraged by the moment, she stepped forward, raising her voice. All right, who's ready to get to work? A few hands shot up, and the energy in the room shifted again. But as she rallied everyone, a nagging thought crept in. Could their enthusiasm withstand the inevitable pressure? Would the seeds they were planting take root or wither in the face of reality? Those fears hung like fog in her mind as the meeting progressed. Emma knew this journey would demand her all, but would it be enough to lead them through the storms they hadn't even envisioned yet? As she glanced around, she felt the uncertainty settle in her stomach once more. They were excited now, but would that spark last when the going got tough? Would their voices still ring out against adversity? Let's start lining up volunteers for next week, she suggested, hoping the motion would sweep away her worries. But even as she spoke, a truth settled over her. A deeper question awaited, and she wasn't sure if she had the answer. Could she truly shepherd a collective vision into something meaningful, or would it all crash down around her? Only time would reveal if she was the leader they needed, or if dark clouds would eclipse their creativity. The energy in the room swirled around her, but Emma felt a dampening curtain of self-doubt descend. The laughter and chatter seemed distant, muffled by the weight of her responsibilities. She glanced over at Ryan, who was enthusiastically engaging with another group. They leaned in close, throwing images of vibrant colors and shapes into the air, as if painting a dazzling future together. Okay, folks. Let us focus. Emma called out, trying to capture their attention. A few turned to her, smiles still bright, but others were lost in their thoughts. She felt her cheeks flush as she realized how uncertain she sounded. Taking a deep breath, she pushed aside her nagging fears. We're going to create something incredible together. The chatter calmed, and eyes turned expectantly toward her. What do you all want this to be? What are your dreams? Let's start brainstorming. She urged, her voice lifting with excitement as she began to feel the fire inside her again. One by one, ideas bubbled up, filling the room. A mural that told the stories of the neighborhood. A pop-up gallery showcasing local artists. Workshops that brought together young and old, sharing tales and techniques. Their ideas sparkled in her mind like the colors on a painter's palette, and she felt her heart beat faster with each suggestion. But the weight persisted, pressing down on the flimsy fabric of her hope. Could she really guide this collective into a reality? They were passionate now, riding the high of creativity, but what would happen when the novelty wore off? I think we should start with a community event, something that gets everyone involved and showcases our talents, Ryan chimed in, his voice cutting through her swirling thoughts. Let's make it something special like a street fair with art, food, and performances. Emma's heart raced at the idea. Yes. That's brilliant. We can invite local musicians, people can bring their crafts, and we can set up a gallery of our artwork. The room erupted with eager chatter, excitement filling the air again. Emma felt a lift in her spirits and clung to it as they jotted down ideas across makeshift boards. Just then, a timid voice broke through the noise. But, what if it rains? Silence fell as everyone turned to the newcomer, a younger artist whose name Emma didn't know yet. She had wide eyes full of trepidation as she fiddled with her hands. What if people don't come? Emma felt the room shift. That voice, soft yet mighty, pulled her back to the center of reality. Every event comes with challenges, Emma replied, her voice steadying as she tried to infuse warmth into the uncertainty of their fears. But if we're ready for anything, if we prepare and adapt, then we can weather the storm. It won't always be easy, but together, we'll find solutions. The young artist nodded slowly, and the murmur rose again. They began discussing contingency plans, and Emma found herself outlining suggestions, mapping out strategies on the board. Energy surged between the group, everyone leaning in, ideas flying again. Emma felt a shift in her spirit. This moment held something powerful. It reflected her hopes and fears, but also the unyielding strength found in community. As the meeting continued, Emma couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the brink of something beautiful. A vision they all could share, a creation born from their unique experiences and diverse voices. But beneath the surface, doubts still lingered. What if the spark faded when the pressure rose? What if they faced pushback from the world outside? With tightened hands gripping the edge of the table, Emma searched the faces of her new allies, each filled with passion and possibility. There was something about their willingness to forge ahead together that ignited a flicker of hope deep within her. "Are we all in?" she asked, her voice lifting above the murmur. A chorus of affirmations rose up, but as enthusiasm filled her, a gnawing thought whispered that maybe, just maybe, she had underestimated the power of this collective. But even as they planned and dreamed, a question hung ominously in her heart: could this dream turn into reality, or would it crumble like so many attempts before? The answer felt just out of reach, waiting in the shadow of tomorrow's uncertainties. The next few days passed in a flurry of activity. Emma felt alive, driven by the energy of the group. Ideas flowed, and each meeting built upon the last, their collective enthusiasm wrapping around her like a warm blanket. They divided into teams: logistics, marketing, entertainment. Everyone had a role, and slowly but surely, their dream began to take shape. But along with the excitement thrummed her nagging doubts. Late at night, while piecing together plans for their street fair, it would creep in, a shadow lurking at the edges. What if the attendance was low? What if they weren't ready? Could she truly hold this group together when push came to shove? One afternoon, Emma found herself sitting on a park bench, staring at the blank page of her notebook. Around her, children played, laughter ringing in the air. It should have cheered her, but instead, it pulled her deeper into thought. She took a deep breath and flipped the notebook closed. Today was the day she needed to reach out to the community. Not just those in the room, but everyone who lived in the neighborhood. Gathering herself, she stood up and headed to the community center. She felt her heart race as she walked inside, the idea of sharing their vision making her palms sweat. Would the same energy from her team resonate with the larger community? As she entered, she spotted Ryan, already setting up chairs. "Hey, you made it," he called. "We're starting the community outreach meeting, remember?" "Right. Just needed to grab my thoughts," she said, still half doubting whether she had anything worth sharing. The center filled with voices, a sea of faces eager to hear what they had planned. It felt like stepping into a spotlight for the first time. Emma's heart thudded as she took the floor, glancing at Ryan for reassurance. He gave her an encouraging nod, and she forged ahead. "Thank you all for coming," she started, her voice surprisingly steady. She spoke about their vision, the street fair, the connection it could create within the community. With each word, she felt the fear loosen its grip, releasing anticipation in its place. Cheers erupted when she mentioned local talent performances. Parents reminisced about their own childhood festivals. Children clapped excitedly when they heard about crafts and artistic workshops. The energy took on a life of its own. But as the meeting progressed, a familiar voice rang out. What if this doesn't succeed? It was the same trembling voice that had hesitated during their planning session. And with it came an almost palpable silence. Emma could feel the weight of everyone's gaze on her. The question wrapped around her like a vine, threatening to constrict. Her palms felt clammy, but she took a step closer, making eye contact with the young artist who had spoken out. Failure is just a part of trying, Emma said firmly. But I believe that if we work together, if we believe in this, we can create something beautiful. We have already brought together so many ideas. We owe it to ourselves to see this through. The young artist nodded, and Emma could see determination in her eyes. Others encouraged each other too, sharing stories of past events that had started small but grew into something monumental. With every passing minute, the atmosphere transformed. Excitement blended with hope, and Emma felt a rush of adrenaline that pushed away her lingering fears. As the meeting came to a close, people began sharing their visions for how they could help. Emma's heart soared as hands shot up with offers of support, ideas, and inspiration. Walking home that evening, Emma felt the wind on her face, cool and invigorating. Could they really pull it off? As she replayed their conversation, a warm glow spread through her. Maybe, just maybe, this dream wasn't as far-fetched as she thought. But just as she turned the corner, her phone buzzed in her pocket. It was a message from Ryan. We need to talk about the budget. The joy she felt that evening wavered for a moment. A good plan had its cracks too. Could everything she had built begin to unravel? Emma took a deep breath, determined to face whatever lay ahead. What could possibly go wrong, especially when they had come this far? But as doubts circled back, she couldn't shake the thought, were they flirting with success or inviting disaster? Emma stirred her coffee, the rich aroma swirling around her as she tried to settle her frayed nerves. The message from Ryan had weighed on her ever since she read it. A budget. The word alone sent her mind racing back to numbers, spreadsheets, and daunting calculations. She needed clarity. More than that, she needed a plan. After a fitful night of sleep, she decided it was best to face the music head-on. She called Ryan, her fingers trembled over the phone. Let's meet at the cafe later. We need to sort out the budget for the fair, she said, her voice steady despite the anxiety bubbling beneath. As the sun dipped low in the sky, she found herself pacing outside the cafe, the idea of the fair swirling in her mind again. What if they came up short? What if they spent more than they earned? Each new worry dug deeper than the last. But when she spotted Ryan walking toward her, a sense of relief washed over her. Hey, Emma. He greeted her, optimism spilling from his smile. He slid into the chair across from her and laid a small notebook on the table. I've been working on it. Let's figure it out together. She nodded and opened herself to his energy. Okay. Show me what you've got. Ryan launched into the details, explaining potential costs for supplies, permits, and entertainment. As she listened, Emma felt some of her fears recede, pushed away by Ryan's organized approach. I think we can manage this, he stated, tapping on a projected number that sounded large but attainable. But we'll need to consider fundraising and community sponsorship. The idea made Emma's heart race again, but this time it was driven by excitement. What if we reached out to local businesses? They might want to support us in exchange for advertising at the fair. Yes. That could work, Ryan agreed, his eyes gleaming with enthusiasm. And we can run small pop-up events leading up to the fair, maybe a few bake sales. The momentum began to build. They spent the next hour brainstorming, creating avenues for income and community involvement. Laughter punctuated their discussions, and Emma began to visualize a future built upon their findings. As they wrapped up, Ryan leaned back and gave her a serious look. "What about the venue? We really need to secure it soon to avoid clashes." Emma's heart sank momentarily. Right. That might be a bit more challenging. She recalled the community center's meeting space, filled with wilting plants and storage boxes. "I'm sure it won't be cheap either. We can make it work." "Let us head there tomorrow and see what their rates are," Ryan suggested firmly. "No matter what it takes, we need to commit to this. We owe it to the community, right?" His words hung between them, tangible and alive, igniting a fierce determination in Emma. They had only just begun, but they had already conquered so much. This could work. They could make this happen. The next morning, she arrived at the community center, her stomach twisting with excitement. The sunlight flooded through the windows, creating a warm and inviting atmosphere. As they began their meeting with the center manager, Emma could feel her heart pounding against her ribs, a mix of hope and fear whirling. "What if they say no?" she whispered to Ryan, just as they sat down. "Then we adapt," he replied with a nod. "No matter what." Emma held on to that thought as they presented their vision to the manager. But as the manager reviewed their proposal, concern washed over her face. "The budget, it's going to require a lot of adjustments." Emma's pulse quickened again. Just as they were about to make a breakthrough, was it crumbling before her eyes? Could they really pull this off? Emma squeezed her hands together, determined. Her breath caught as the manager hesitated, then spoke again, "But if you can demonstrate community support, I might be able to work with you." In that moment, Emma's mind raced with possibilities. This was her chance. "We'll show you it's worth it," she replied, her spirit igniting with resolve. The manager raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "Absolutely, we'll gather support and bring it back to you." Emma's heart raced, feeling as if she was about to leap. As they stepped outside, Ryan grinned at her. "See? We can make this happen." But in the back of Emma's mind, doubt still lurked. What would community support look like? What if it wasn't enough? Emma bit her lip, excitement warring with unease. They had taken one small step forward, but was it enough to ensure success? What would the next twist in their story reveal? Emma's heart raced as she left the community center. The sunlight felt like a spotlight, illuminating their uncertain path forward. "What now?" she asked, her voice tinged with excitement and anxiety. They had a lead, but securing funding was a mountain to climb. Ryan, ever the optimist, drew in a deep breath, his enthusiasm infectious. "First things first, we need to spread the word. Let's create a flyer about the fair, detailing what it is, why it matters, and how people can help." "Flyers?" Emma blinked. "Do you really think that would work?" "It's a start," he declared, eyes sparkling. "We can hand them out at the local businesses we're hoping to get sponsorships from. A personal touch always makes a difference." Emma felt the tiniest flicker of hope building inside her. "Okay. Let us do that." Over the next few days, they poured their energy into spreading the word. Emma's living room transformed into a chaotic hub of creativity. Colors, papers, and markers swirled around her like confetti. As she cut out flyers, she found herself making an undercover deal with optimism. She snatched glances at Ryan, who was sketching the fair's logo, laughter spilling between them like music. "Remember when we were kids?" Ryan said, grinning as he recreated a rough sketch with a rainbow over a popcorn stand. "We used to dream about hosting our own fair, just like that." Emma chuckled, feeling a warmth spread through her. "And now we're actually doing it." The night of their first volunteer meeting arrived, and Emma's stomach churned as she prepared to face a room full of eager faces. She set up chairs in the community center, arranging them in a circle. It felt intimidating, knowing they needed more than just hands, they needed hearts. As the clock ticked closer to the hour, the chairs filled one by one. Familiar faces arrived, friends from school, parents, even new residents eager to join in the fun. When Ryan stepped forward to welcome everyone, his confidence instantly put Emma at ease. "We're here not just to plan a fair," he said, his voice rising with enthusiasm. "We're here to connect our community, to bring joy, and create something special together." Emma watched the faces light up, their smiles igniting an unquenchable fire inside her. One by one, everyone shared their ideas, enthusiasm buzzing in the air. When it was Emma's turn, she stood, her palms sweaty and heart racing. "I know we're starting small, but this isn't just about us. This fair could be the heartbeat of our community. A place for everyone to come together, to share, to celebrate." The room erupted in applause, the kind of support that filled her with both joy and disbelief. They were building something real, tangible, and full of life. After the meeting, Ryan clapped her on the back. "You killed it. I could see the passion in your face. You really touched them." As Emma basked in the glow of the moment, doubt threaded through her mind again. What if this energy didn't translate into actual support? What if everything they hoped for crumbled? Now they needed to gather commitments, funds, something that would guarantee the community center would see them as a worthy investment. "Look at how energized everyone is," Ryan said, as if reading her thoughts. "All we need to do is keep that momentum going. Why don't we plan a follow-up meeting? Collect those commitments?" "Right," she replied, hope nudging at her heartbeat once more. "But how do we convince businesses to jump on board? We've got to make them see our vision." "Let's draft a proposal and a sponsorship package," Ryan suggested. "Something neat, showing how their support translates into visibility and community goodwill." Their brainstorming session fueled a determined spark. But just as they were getting excited, Emma's phone buzzed with a message from the community center's manager. Her heart sank as she read the words, "Have we made a decision? I need an answer soon." The clock was ticking, and now pressure was building. Emma's excitement faded, replaced by a swirling mix of urgency and fear. How could they possibly pull together everything they needed in time? "Emma, what's wrong?" Ryan asked, noticing her distracted expression. Swallowing hard, Emma knew they were at a crossroads. "We need to move faster. Time is running out, and I can't shake this feeling. What if they don't believe in us?" The tension in the air shifted, and Emma realized they were standing on the brink of something far greater than just organizing a fair. This was about belief. Through all the trials ahead, would they find the support they desperately needed? As she looked into Ryan's eyes, determination set in. They had come too far to turn back now. But with the manager's message looming over them, the stakes had never felt higher. Would they be able to prove their vision was worth the risk? Emma pressed her fingers against the wooden table, the surrounding buzz of the community center drowning her anxieties. It felt like a dream swirling within a storm. The energy pulsating from her gathered friends and neighbors was stunning. After their successful meeting, she felt empowered, but now of all times, doubt instilled cold fingers in her chest. "Let's get to work on that proposal for the businesses," Ryan said, enthusiasm firing up his voice again, thankfulness reflecting in his eyes. "If we want to secure that venue, we need to show them our dedication." "Right." Emma nodded, forcing herself to breathe deeper, to hold on to the excitement that had cracked through her fear just moments before. They huddled around a laptop, fingers flying over the keyboard as they outlined a framework for what the fair would offer. "This is more than just an event," Emma began, her heart racing as she typed. "This is an opportunity for local businesses to connect, to show they care about the community. Families can gather, share stories, have fun, it builds a sense of belonging." "Exactly." Ryan chimed in. "And we'll emphasize that visibility means dividends. The more people see them supporting community events, the more they become part of the narrative." The hours flew by, filled with laughter and brainstorming as they chiseled and polished ideas into a compelling invitation for the businesses around town. Emma's confidence surged, painting vibrant images of children laughing, families mingling, and artists getting recognition. But still, the haunting shadow of her doubts loomed, whispering about what could go wrong. On the day Emma and Ryan planned to approach local businesses, Emma felt the flutter of uncertainty within her again. She stood before the storefronts, shaking off her nerves. "I hope they see the beauty in all of this," she said softly, glancing at Ryan beside her. "The beauty is in our passion," Ryan reassured her, nodding steadfastly. "Trust in the journey, we've come too far to look back." They walked into the first shop, and the scent of coffee greeted them as they approached the barista behind the counter. Emma explained their vision earnestly, pouring every ounce of her enthusiasm into the words. The barista listened, her expression slowly shifting from curiosity to keen interest. "I think that's wonderful," she exclaimed, glancing at her manager behind the counter. "A community fair to celebrate art and connection? We'd love to help. Just send me the proposal, and we can see how the shop can contribute." Emma felt a rush. This was her first victory. "Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much." She beamed, relief washing over her. As they moved from shop to shop, the energy and passion they poured into their pitches began turning heads. Some business owners even offered space to showcase their merchandise or sponsor events within the fair. Emma felt her heart lift with every supportive smile and positive affirmation. Days passed into an exhilarating blur. Their vision took root, powered by the same lifeblood of community spirit Emma once feared might be absent. She could feel excitement bubbling, volunteers were stepping up, many of whom had never met before but who shared a commitment to something greater. But the night before the fair, as Emma folded stacks of flyers in her living room and cradled cups of coffee, hints of apprehension unfurled once more. What if the turnout was poor? Would her friends' hopes be dashed against frustrating winds of disappointment? What if, after all they'd done, no one showed up? That evening, Emma called a final meeting. As friends gathered, she felt the tangible weight of shared emotions. "I just want to put this out there," she began, her voice wavering slightly. "I am afraid. What if this doesn't turn out as we hope, despite all our work?" Ryan shot her a gentle smile, leaning forward, earnestness radiating from him like sunshine. "This is part of what makes us human, Emma. Fear exists to remind us that we care. But it's also a choice we make, not letting it control us. Remember, this fair is a celebration of us, of failures and triumphs." Everyone nodded, murmuring their agreements. Emma's heart warmed. It dawned on her then they had already built something beautiful: the connections, the friendships, the hopes woven into their community fabric. "Let us focus on what we can do, not what we can't," Emma concluded, a renewed sense of conviction clinging to her words. As laughter spilled from each person's mouth and cheers erupted with warmth, Emma finally allowed her worries to dim, enveloped in companionship and excitement. The day of the fair arrived, bright and radiant. Emma stood amidst the bustling setup, vibrant decorations weaving through laughter and shared stories. Local bands joined in, and the smell of fresh popcorn wafted through the air, as colors painted the walls of the community center. Then the moment came. The center doors flew open, and families began to trickle in, morphing into an endless tide of joy and community spirit. Emma's heart soared as she watched children share in the activities, artwork hanging proudly as they moved past. People were smiling, connections igniting across tables, as strangers became friends. "This is it," Ryan said, standing beside her, eyes glimmering. "We did it." As the sun dipped low, painting the sky with hues of orange and violet, Emma felt a release of emotions: hope, fulfillment, even the joy of tears. She grabbed a moment to step back, soaking it all in the laughter, the stories shared, the spirit that thrived. Sinking into the energy surrounding them, Emma realized it wasn't simply about the fair. It was about a community willing to uplift each other, to create a future together. She knew this would echo through the very heart of their town. They had grown, together and individually, in ways they never anticipated. "We may not know what challenges lie ahead," Emma whispered to Ryan, her heart full. "But we truly are a part of something bigger than ourselves. We'll keep pushing forward, no matter what." "Absolutely," Ryan agreed, a genuine smile radiating both warmth and determination. With that, they conspired together, ready to navigate any future endeavors, hand in hand. The sun dipped further, and as stars sprinkled the sky, one thing remained clear: the power of community connected them all, igniting paths of unity and transformation one story at a time. Emma took a deep breath, surrounded by the love and laughter of her town. This was only the beginning. Now more than ever, they were ready to step forward as a collective, no longer fearful of the shadows that once loomed over their dreams. That's the power of art, story, and unity, the relentless force of change that begins within every single heart and shatters the barriers that once held them apart. You need to subscribe now to catch the next exclusive stories illuminating the magic of community and transformation. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and to help us spread these inspiring tales. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Your support makes all the difference.